Good evening and welcome to tonight's live session, live from beautiful Abruzzo. My name's David Benton and we are at home in Italy. And welcome, because tonight is the big, massive, humongous, enormous Q&A. Are you ready for tonight's session? I hope you are. Start writing in the comment section. Make sure that I'm not just sat here speaking to Tony, the producer, who's in the background. So let us know where you are in the world, and let us know what's happening in your life. And then you can start asking questions. If you wait for 10 minutes or so and then start asking questions, there's a better chance that you're going to get your questions read out. Any that's already been written, we'll try and get to them if we can. But tonight, remember, we are talking about anything to do with buying, restoring, and living in Italy. Nowhere else in the world. Okay, have you got that? And tonight, we have also got... Tony, you can take over if you like. If you want to get rid of tonight's live stream and start putting some posts up so I can see that people are actually coming in. Can you do that? Tony, the producer. He's still learning. It's only been 2 years. He's looking with a complete vacant look on his face on how to get rid of the banner. Shall I help him out? Hold on a second. Let me do that. There you go, Tone. Does that help you? Anyway, moving on. What was I going to say? Tonight, we are back with Domenico and Tony's tongue-twisting trial. Photo of the week. Look, Tony's fat. Where's the chant? All these comments on the screen. We've also got a little bit of a surprise, a visitor that is a bit of a regular on here, and he's coming to say hello and answer one of the questions that I've been asked by email. I wonder who that may be. What else have we got, Town? No idea, but that's it. We've got a full show for you this evening, and it is great to be back. Sorry about last week. Got tied up at the notary's office as per usual, and I want to say it now as well. Have you noticed how fast Tony's putting these on? You just get the chance to read it, and then he just takes it straight off. Anyway, next week we are changing from Tuesday to Monday because there's something happening next week, next Tuesday. I don't know what it is. It's a little bit of something that's happening on the 5th of... Is it the 5th of November? Which, strangely enough, is bonfire night in the UK, so that's probably about right. But something's happening somewhere in the world on the 5th of November, which I believe is next Tuesday. So we're not gonna interfere with that. So we are going to do it on Monday. I think I'm right with the 5th of November. I'm sure that's right. But Troy, Tony rocks. If we have any more comments like that, and that will be it. We're throwing Troy out of the system. So yeah, next week is going to be Monday rather than Tuesday, and I want to do an Abruzzo one because we had a fantastic tour. I'm going to come back to that in a second. First of all, I want to do the stunning photo of the week, and Tony at that point is supposed to get... There, he's done it. Look, stunning photo of the week has been sent in, and I hope I pronounce this right. It's Capono. Or Kapono. I hope that's right. They came to Abruzzo and they sent me these photographs that are fantastic. But this one in particular, this stunning photo of the week, I think you'll agree is stunning. This is Fara San Martino. So I'm presuming Capono stayed in, and apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, stayed in Fara San Martino. I'm guessing, looking at the photo at the Hotel Carmalengo, just look how amazing that photograph is. This must have been gotten first thing in the morning as the sun's coming up. And Fara San Martino is the home of Di Cecco Pasta, and we've got some fantastic properties there and sold a number of properties there. But what a great photograph that is. So thank you very much, Capono. And apologies if I'm pronouncing it right. I've said it about 5 times now, so if I'm pronouncing it wrong, apologies. Okay, so that's this week's stunning photo of the week from beautiful Fara San Martino. So as I was saying, last week we had the tour. It was fantastic, as it always is. The weather wasn't particularly kind, so it wasn't too bad, but what a great tour. What a great group. Everybody really came together again. The WhatsApp group's been fantastic. Everybody keeping in touch. And we've got another one next week. So anybody that's watching that is waiting for next week's tour. The WhatsApp group will be created on Thursday. I know I was going to do it early this week, but it's going to be Thursday when we create the WhatsApp group, because tomorrow I am off. I have a day off. because it's a celebration tomorrow, because my daughter gets her degree. So we are extremely looking forward to that, extremely proud of her. And we're going to have the day off and have a bit of a celebration. Exactly. So tomorrow I'm off. So Thursday we will create the WhatsApp group, and just to let everybody know in internet land that Friday is Festa in Italy, All Saints Day, or All Souls Day. Is it All Souls or All Saints? I can't remember now, but it's the one where every Italian family will visit graveyards and see past relations and take flowers and do that sort of all day. H. Glenn is saying, I bet the special visitor is the currency converter. No, it's not. It's somebody far more important than that. And he's waiting in the wings. We haven't seen him for a while. So it's a bit of a clue. It's a him. He's going to be, I'll give you another clue. He's going to be answering questions, or a couple of questions that I have here about the Schengen Shuffle. Any ideas who it may be? It's everybody's favorite person. You'll have to wait and see. Okay, so the tour. I was mentioning the tour last week. Absolutely fantastic. I just want to show you a couple of photographs of them, if I can share the screen again. And here we go. Here's a couple of this is my second stunning photo of the week. And a huge thank you to Lorraine. I really hope that she's watching, because she must have eaten so many pizzas while she was in Raiano. She's been visiting her holiday home that she bought remotely, never seen it, all the rest. She's going to be a future Meet the Home buyer. And with the pizza boxes, she created this stunning sign. That's not Lorraine on the left. That's members of the group. And when we came back from viewing in a house, I could see from a distance all these boxes piled up against the van. And look what she wrote. And she actually stood out on the road holding this up, hoping we were going to pass by on a certain road, and we didn't. We went a different way in. But I thought it was absolutely fantastic that she did this. And she sent me a couple of other photographs that I'm going to put on next week, where she's been taking this sign around different parts of Abruzzo and taking photographs. She's an absolute star. Thank you so much, Lorraine. You really, really put a smile on my face that day of the tour. So where else do we go? This was Prezzo, just about to head off into a house on Prezzo. We had a group of 38 people. Absolutely fantastic. This is the first restaurant near to a place near to Pentro. Don't know who that person is at the top right with the glasses on his head with the bald head. Anybody recognize who that is? Yes. Anyway, here's us in Sulmona, the center of Sulmona. This is all day one. Day two, Pentro. Obviously, we actually saw over 20 houses. I think it was a record. It was either 22 or 20. No, it was 24 houses in 2 days, and 10 locations, 10 towns and another 2 locations. This is at Pentro. This amazing palazzo that I'm going to be doing a video of soon. This is going to be a great one for the channel. Then in my hometown of Palombaro, and then from Palombaro we went to beautiful Faro San Martino. From Faro San Martino, we then headed to we went to Casali, and then we went down to the coastline. This was the restaurant that our last meal. A fantastic restaurant called Miramare. If ever you're in this area, it's in Torino di Sangro. You can get great views out of the windows. Fantastic place. Then we went down to visit the Trabocchi coastline. And then from there, this is the crazy bunch on the coach. We really did have a fantastic time, and I'm really looking forward to next week as well. The weather looks fantastic. You've just got to come on the tours. It's as simple as that. Remember the tour dates for next year. And at that point, Tony's supposed to remove things off the screen, and then it should come up. There it is. He's on the ball tonight, isn't he? 2025 tour dates. January. It should be a brilliant one in January. Please come on the January one. We may go down to one bus. We're not sure yet, depending on book. January is a fantastic time to come and visit. So come on the January tour. That's the 30th and 31st, March 27th and 28th, May 8th and 9th, and May 29th and 30th. Join us on these tours. They are really, really good. I'm not just blowing our own trumpet, but they are absolutely fantastic. It's a great way to see the area and to see a number of properties as well. It doesn't matter if you're ready to buy. Doesn't matter if you're looking to buy in a few months, in a few years. It really doesn't matter. It's just a great way to see a number of different properties. As I say, we saw 24 properties in 2 days, 10 towns, and another 2 extra locations. You could never do that on your own, folks. You couldn't do it. You need us to take you around. So join us on there. If you go onto the website, obviously www.ahomeinitaly.com, click on the tours page and see the information there and start booking. Get ready for next year. Get ready for this new start in Italy and join us in January, because that is going to be fantastic. I love January. Just don't know why, just do. I like the cold. I think it's not freezing, but it's just a great time. Jacob, I've just seen Jacob on there, and if it's the Jacob who I think it is, I think he may have fallen in love. He may have fallen in love with Farah San Martino. If it's the Jacob that I think it is, let's find out. We'll find out soon. Okay, what else do I need to say to you? I need to tell you about, if you are looking for properties to rent in Abruzzo, remember to contact our friends at, see how quick Tony was then, RentinAbuto, check the spelling, RentinAbuto@gmail.com. Contact our friends there, and they will give you information on the properties that they have for rent, whether you're looking for long-term rentals, whether you want that visa and you don't want to buy a property yet, and you want a long-term rental, contact them. If you're just looking for holidays, if you're looking for a week or whatever it is, contact them and they'll tell you what they do have available. We've got some fantastic properties, and there's so many of our clients that contact them and use their properties. So give them a shout. There you go. I think that's all the plugs. Have I done everything? I think wondering when the WhatsApp was happening. Yep, so that's going to be on Thursday if you're looking for November's group. I'll try and do it tomorrow, but as I say, it's a bit of a celebration tomorrow. But if I get up extremely early, then I will try and do it tomorrow. But the WhatsApp group will happen next Thursday, if not. Okay, so we know what that time is, don't we? For new ones amongst us, it is time for Tony and Domenico's tongue-twisting trials. We're starting with Tony. For anybody that doesn't know what this is, basically what is going to happen is Tony is going to come on, who's learning Italian, slowly, as they say here, piano, piano. He's been here about 50 years, and he knows 3 words. So he's doing well. But Tony's going to come on and say a phrase from a film in Italian. And then later in the show, Domenico is going to come on, say the same phrase in English. And at that point, and only that point, after Domenico has said it, you've got to guess what the film is. Okay, let's bring... Here he is. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this one?
Okay.
You've not seen it, have you? Just tell the audience.
No, I'm waiting for it to come through the...
I'm going to send it now by the magic, excuse me, of WhatsApp. Here it comes. Listen for Tony's ringtone. Is it on silent? Has it come through?
Yeah, it's come through. I'm just trying. Wait a minute.
Unbelievable. Okay, so I'm going to give him 5 seconds to get ready. Sorry?
I'm not good with new technology.
No, I know. So I'm giving you 5 seconds to read it, and then we're going to move on quickly because I've got somebody waiting in the background who's dying to come on. Are you ready, Tom? So after 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go. In your best Italian, go.
Okay. Non conosco metà di voi, metà come vorrei e mi piace, meno della metà di voi, metà di quando meritate. Okay.
I'm not going to give you a grade. It was all right. It was a bit rushed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll get carried away. Sometimes
it does, doesn't it? It does get carried away. That's the problem. Are we ready? It's time for the massive Q&A. So first of all, Tony's going to start looking at some of the questions and get ready to put them up shortly. We are going to be bringing Domenico on as well later in the show. He's going to do the English version of what's just been said. And if any of you know it already, then that is just amazing. Okay, so questions come. Tony will start adding some questions shortly, even if you just want to wait a few minutes. Let's bring our special guest in. Shall I tell you who it is, everybody? It's a quick visit from our favorite Pentro Pete, the one and only. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
How are you doing, Pete?
Oh, doing excellent. I'm here. I'm in Pentro, so I have to be doing good.
Amazing. So anybody that is in Abruzzo at the moment, find your way to Pentro and you will see Pentro Pete. You have become a bit of a star up there, haven't you? I know a few people. Look, Cindy's guessed Pentro Pete. But look, everybody's guessing Pentro Pete, but he's already on. We know it's him now. I know. I bet all these people guessed before.
Well, no, in fairness, yeah, they guessed earlier. Yeah.
Oh, did they? Okay. Well, that's fantastic. So yeah, you're getting a bit of a star up there, aren't you, in Pentro?
Yeah, I can't hardly sit on the bench and relax here. I got people coming up. Yeah, it's all right.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, it's absolutely great to see you, as usual. So the reason why I asked you, first of all, obviously it's great to see you, but the reason why I asked you on is I had a few people asking me about the Schengen shuffle, and obviously this is for people that maybe haven't got their visas yet and things like that. Can you explain a little bit about your situation, what happened to you, and what you're doing to try and not get round it, but just to survive a little bit longer in Italy before you go for the visa again?
Sure. So, as an American citizen, I don't have any long-term stay visa for Italy. That means I can only remain in the Schengen area, in the Schengen zone, for 90 days out of 180 days. Schengen zone is almost the same as the European Union, but not entirely. So, folks want to do a little research with that, and and get that squared away. 90 days out of every 180. I almost tripped myself up the first time I did this, because I thought, well, I'll play it safe and I'll only stay for 87 days, and then I'll leave. I went to London actually for 10 days, because apparently I had too much money, and that's the best way to get rid of it. But and then I went to Montenegro for 87 for whatever 77 days. And so I didn't want to stay over any. Well, that 90 days out of 180, you count backwards as well as forward. So in other words, I was when I came back to Italy, I was going to overstay by like 3 days, because I had stayed, I was here for 87 days, and the clock started ticking. The clock didn't start ticking until the 90 day.
So you have to look backwards.
Backward as well as forward. There's a website online. I know this is almost impossible to wrap your head around as I'm saying it. It's hard for me to, but there are a couple of great calculators online, and if you search for Schengen calculator, you'll come up with some that will be great. They'll help you. You can plug in all of your entry and exit dates, and it'll tell you if you're going to overstay. So
that's a great piece of advice. So just so everybody knows, obviously you tried for your visa the first time. Didn't work out for you the first time, because they wanted to see, if I remember rightly, they wanted to see a year of you being in your pension, was it, or a year of
2 years? Yeah. So what I did was I applied for the elective residence visa as soon as I retired,
right,
and that didn't work out, because my previous they want to see your previous tax returns for 2 years. Well, they showed a significant income, but it wasn't the kind of income that they want to see. They're looking for income that is steady, and it does not rely on any kind of work or anything like that. So anyways, they rejected, and they gave me the Miami consulate gave me a very good explanation of why they were rejecting me. And when I read it, it made perfect sense that okay, yeah.
It is strange though, because it must be whoever you get, or whoever it is at the time, because we have had people use Miami before and just got into retirement. In fact, we've had a couple recently that used Miami and just went into retirement, and they got accepted. So I just think it just seems to be different all the time. There doesn't seem to be any hard and fast rule to it. But hopefully, when are you going to reapply?
2026,
Okay.
beginning of 2026. That way, I'll have been retired for 2 years. I'll have 2 solid years of tax returns that show only my income from these passive, sources. My Social Security and a tiny pension and that type of thing.
Perfect. But life has not been too bad, though, has it, doing the Schengen?
Not at all. I just got back from 3 months in Japan, and that was a ton of fun. Hello, Laura. I'd never been to Japan, and so 3 months allowed me to spend time in Tokyo and Kyoto and Fukuoka, and then up north in Sapporo, which oddly enough has a excellent beer.
So you tried a couple of those then?
Maybe, yes.
Brilliant. And just so, I mean, you told me a while ago when we were speaking personally, and you said to me that it's actually cheaper for you to go on these holidays than it is for you to go back to the US.
Yep, 100%. I just checked over some of my, my numbers from the Japan trip, for instance, and I paid on average about 70 to $75 a night for a hotel. Food there was ridiculously inexpensive and great. I mean, we had some, they have just all of these great, little restaurants, little places you can hop in, get a set meal. They all have set meals at lunchtime, and so had some great food there. To put that in perspective, I also I made reservations for Florida. I'm going back. I'm going to spend a week in Florida in January, and the cheapest hotel I could get in Florida was $100 a night. Right. So it really is cheaper for me to get to go to places like Japan and Montenegro and Thailand and Cambodia and all these places than it is to go to the US.
And also there's options for people to go to Albania as well. I think Americans go to Albania for you can stay up to there for 1 year, can't you, in Albania?
There are a bunch of opportunities like that. I try to I try to stay away from certain areas of the world just because of my past, not because of their past. But but yeah.
By the way, Pete's not an international criminal or anything like. Far from it.
No,
when you meet him, he'll tell you what his whole job was. I'm sure.
I was a nuclear arms control inspector, and I just don't know how much of a sense of humor those guys have that that I was going and beating up on treaty inspections. But anyways, so the one thing I would want people to take away from this, and one thing to remember is that if you do this, you're not on vacation. So, it would be impossible to keep up a vacation tempo for 3 months, if you think about it. So, if you're going to go to, Japan or wherever you might go to, say, okay, I'm going to go slow. I'm going to do something interesting, maybe, a couple days a week, but I'm not going to try to see everything that there is to see in the entire country of Japan. You'll wear yourself out, and
Brilliant. But you're glad to be back in Abruzzo, glad to be back in Pentro.
Absolutely. If I could stay here and never leave, I would. But that's the deal I got, which I can't complain too much. I'm getting on some good adventures, and
superb.
It's a lot of fun.
Excellent. So that's Pete doing the Schengen show. For absolutely great to see you again, Pete. I really, really appreciate you coming on, and we'll have to get you back on soon. We may do some of the tongue twisting trials with you and Tony, get a bit of a script going, because that was great when we did that. Okay, all the best to you, Pete. Thank you so much.
All right, gang. Take care.
Enjoy your meal tonight.
All right. Yep. Thank you. I will.
See you soon. Bye. What a great guy, Pentro Pete, everybody. Isn't it nice to see him? Isn't it nice to see him back? Absolutely fantastic. So, Bob, I saw a question from Bob, and Tony did put it up. If you can find that again, Bob, because it was a good question. We're not saying that you have to wait for 2 years to before you can apply for a visa, because that's not the case. It's just in Pete's case, they wanted to see a little bit of a bank statement showing what his income would be when he finally goes into retirement. So it's an unknown thing. No, there's nothing to say that you can't apply straight away as soon as you go into retirement. So even though Pete accepted what they said, I find it a strange one. But there's been lots of strange ones, to be honest with you. They're a rule unto themselves. So, but hopefully everybody that's going for a visa will get that soon. Tony, are you ready with some questions? You can feel free to, and I've got a number of questions here. So let's start with Connie. Hi, Dave. Is there a difference in home prices in the different areas of Abruzzo, e.g. your side of the mountain, compared to the Peligna Valley? Great question, actually, that. Yes. I would say, as a rule, obviously closer to the coast is more expensive because wherever Italians buy tend to be the most, and I'm not saying nobody buys in the countryside, because they do, but obviously there's lots of investment from Italians out of the area, buying down the coastline, that just want summer properties, that they lock them up from October to April, and then come back and spend time there during the summer months. So obviously the prices are high there, and obviously in the cities, that's always the case. With regards to our side of the mountain and the Poligny side of the mountain, the Sulmona side, it used to be a lot more expensive at the Sulmona side than it did at this side. But I would say it came down a little bit there years and years ago, because there's the agents that work there. There's not many great, in the past, there's not been many great agents. And I don't want to pull anybody down that's over there. There's very few. And the ones that are don't always cater for foreign buyers. So now it's become a huge hotspot, the Poligny Valley. So around Sulmona, Raiano, Vittorito, all these places, a huge hotspot. And we're happy to say that we've sort of created that, but people are still good with their prices. So it's and this side of the mountain, I would say they're similar. To be fair, there's not a huge amount of difference, I would say, between the two, unless you get a little bit closer to Sulmona, or maybe a couple of towns there. But I would say on average, I would say the prices are very, very similar, because indeed with the type of properties that we get involved with and our agents get involved with, they are the kind of properties where we sort of dictate the market a little bit, in the sense of, if somebody says, well, I want 100 for this, and inside of us it's worth 70, then we will be very honest with people and say, look, we're not going to market it at 100 because it's not worth 100. We believe it's worth 70, and we'll move on and find something else that is worth that. So we sort of can I say dictate the market? We sort of do with the kind of properties that we're interested in. People know that we're moving lots of properties between our agents and us. And yeah, so I would say similar sort of prices, but you know where to find the bargains. You know where to find the best places and the bargains, obviously, right here. Thank you, Connie. Okay, I'm going to, Tony's put another one on. Can you run through the Lean on Me service? We have a couple of possibles. Okay, Troy, actually, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to speak about the Lean on Me service. So the Lean on Me service is a service that we offer that is, if you're buying with another agent, but you just need some extra help. Also, if you have seen a private for sale sign and you want us to take care of everything, then we can help you. That's what we call the Lean on Me service. Unfortunately, we've had to suspend it for a couple of months because we have been, thankfully, extremely busy on the video properties and the tour properties and things like that. But I do have some news coming up. I've got a fantastic colleague who I've known for a number of years, called Enrica, and she is great. She speaks perfect English as well. And she's coming on board. She's going to come on board and help with the Lean on Me, so we can actually offer even more than what we were going to do. This is for people that's buying anywhere in Italy, and buying also in Abruzzo, but anywhere at all in Italy. And I've just got a few things, a couple of more meetings to have with Enrica. And then she's going to come and join us on one of these Tuesday nights, so I can introduce her to you. And it's going to be a fantastic service where we're going to work even closer with the notary as well, to offer some things that, for me, nobody is doing the kind of service that we want to offer for that. So if you are considering buying, if you've seen a private property, or if you're going with another agent, but maybe they don't speak Italian, or maybe you're not 100% certain, then we definitely have the services for you. So as I say, I have had to turn a few people away, but now Enrica's coming on board. We're back on track. She's going to be officially on board probably at the start of 2025, but we are helping people now with the Lean on Me service. So yeah, that's what that's all about. Send me an email at info@homeanditaly.com, and obviously I'll answer any other questions. I do want to quickly get in before Tony puts some more questions on. Somebody's asked me about when people email, not me, other companies, and they said that they've been emailing agents and found it an absolute nightmare because nobody responds. Now, I've been accused of this in the past, but I do assure you that I am very well up to date with my emails now. What I will say in defense of everybody, first of all, if you email people at the weekends, I had somebody, I'm not going to give names out, but I have somebody that contacted me on a Saturday night at 11:30 in the evening. They were actually in Europe, so they knew the time. 11:30 in the evening on a Saturday night, to ask me a question and to say that they wanted to buy a number of properties and they wanted to come and view properties with us the following week. That's almost impossible because we need time to plan these things. and then sent me a second email to say how disappointed that she was that I hadn't responded, and basically she was going to go on her own and find her own things. Now, the first email was 11:30 on Saturday night. The second email, which I have all these emails, was about 5:30 on Sunday evening. Now, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in Italy, we don't work Sundays. It just, you're not going to find any agents open on a Sunday, and you'll probably find they're not open on a Saturday. So if people are looking for this 24 hours a day service, 7 days a week, you're not going to get that at all. You may as well completely forget that. Now, I know some agents can be a nightmare. Sort of maybe they may not even contact you back for all. They may not contact you. It could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever it could be. For those that do contact you, but it may take a few days, I do want to defend them slightly, because agents here are usually independent agents, and sometimes they're working on their own, or sometimes there may be one other. They're not an office, maybe what you're used to in the UK or in the US or Canada or Australia, wherever, with big offices of estate agents with 20 people in there, all taking the calls and all taking the emails. The vast majority of agents here, unless you go in the bigger cities, the vast majority of agents are independent. And it's the same with our emails. We try and get back to people. I'm completely up to date, apart from today, but I was filming today. And my wife, Silvana, that runs the business as well, she obviously gets involved more, getting people ready for signings and all that kind of thing. So if I'm out filming, the reality is I can't be here answering emails. Some people say to me, well, you should get somebody to answer emails. But those people don't know the properties like I do. We are not agents, as I've said a million times. We don't have 300 properties that we have to service. We're very selective on what we do. And I go out and visit these places to make sure that we bring the best for you. So it's me that needs to answer the questions. So if I'm out filming or whatever else, that is the reality of working here. So if you are contacting agents that don't get back to you straight away, just bear in mind that it could be that they're a small team, and it just may take a few days. That's just the reality of it. And it's the same with us as well. We do try every 2 days or maximum every 3 days to make sure that all emails are up to date. And sometimes it's every day if I'm one of those rare weeks where we're in the office every day. But if we've got signings, which we have pretty much every week, if we've got video properties to do, obviously there's going to be times when we're not in. So this week, just to remind you, I'm not in tomorrow, and Friday is Festa. For those of you that want to know. But as I say, weekends, just forget it. It's a cultural thing. Maybe you're used to the 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's not Italy. It's just not Italy. And I can't see it coming for a long, long time. And long may it be like that as well, as far as I'm concerned. Family time, weekends, Sundays especially. Chef Spencer, can you chat about getting a driver's license, car ownership and insurance costs? A huge question. Everybody asks about this, and obviously an important subject. Let's just get this really, really clear. You cannot buy a car unless you are a resident. You must be a resident. You don't have to be a citizen. You need to be a resident. Once you have a resident, you can buy a car. So what I mean by being a resident is you've got a home here and you live here, and you've been to the council and say, I live here, I'm a resident here. So you pay taxes in Italy, everything else. Then you can buy a car. If you are not a resident in Italy, even if you're Italian, if you're not a resident in Italy, you can't buy a car. It's as simple as that. The driving license, unfortunately, apart from Europeans and people from the UK, where we can just switch our licenses from our country to here, to Italy, if you're outside the EU, outside the UK, then you will have to take your test again. I know it sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, but it's what you have to do. So, excuse me, I've got the remnants of man flu. Can we say man? Are we allowed to say that? Is that, yeah? He's nodding his head. I don't know if it's politically correct, but anyway. Sorry if I've offended. Where was I? Oh, yes. Unfortunately, as ridiculous as it sounds, you do have to take your test again. And you could come over here as somebody from outside the EU. You can move here, be resident here, buy yourself a car here. But from the minute you could become resident, the 12 months is ticking that your current driving license, let's say if it's a US license or wherever it is no longer valid in Italy. And you have to have got your driving license over here. So what happens is you have to have you have to do it's not a written test, it's a multiple choice done on a computer or a tablet. It's either in English and I think it's possibly French and maybe German as well. I can't remember, but sorry, not in English. It's in Italian, French, and possibly German, if I remember rightly. And it's multiple choice, and you have to pass that. Now, there is an app that you can download, and your driving school center will give you the app to download and everything else. You don't have to go for lessons because you already know how to drive, but you need to study. And there's some books that you can get on Amazon that help you through this. And I can't remember the name of the books. I'll try and remember and print in the link of this. But there's a book that you can get on Amazon that helps people get their Italian driving, the theory, if you like, done. You can practice as much as you like on the multiple choice questions. And yes, it's hard. It can be hard going, especially if you don't know the language. But I've known a number of people now that have thought, when I'm moving to Italy, I need to do the Italian thing. I'm going to study. And that's what people do. And they've done it, and they've passed the test. I've known a number of people do that. So it's not impossible. Once you pass the test of the theory part, then you go and do the actual practical. And I don't think anybody is going to, unless you turn up with a few too many glasses of wine or go the wrong way, down the wrong way, then all that I can't imagine anybody failing you. So yes, it's a bit of extra work, but that's just the way it is. There was rumors in the EU, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, that they're wanting to make digital licenses and make it easier for people within the EU to exchange licenses so it could all be done online without having to go through driving centre and all the rest of it. And they mentioned at the same time that the possibility of countries that have similar driving standards to Italy or to European countries, which, let's be honest, have similar standards to here, anyway, that they will change the license, that they will do the exchange. As of yet, that has not come into force. And it's only the same if Italian moves to America. They have to do the same thing. But there was talk in the EU about that. And what I will say, I have recently seen that they're already starting it this month and next month, and then from sometime in 2025, and I think it's right at the beginning, that this new digital thing is going to be available for everybody here in Italy, which means to me that's one part of the process, because they mentioned these two things together. So I'm just hoping that once they get everything digitalized, that then they will carry on and do the second step to what they mentioned. It was on their proper EU websites and all the rest of it. So I'm really hoping that it becomes a reality. But as it is of now, that's what you have to do. And insurance, it's difficult to say the insurance cost, because obviously we live here. We've got the no claims bonus and the rest of it. I mean, ours is fully covered. We have a couple of cars, but one of them's a Hyundai Tucson, which probably most people will know. Nothing sporty, nothing, and I think we pay maybe around, we used to pay about 800 and something per year, but then we've added some extra things on. So I think we pay about €1,000 per year for the car, and that's insured for anybody over 25 to drive it. So yeah, insurance costs can be a little bit more expensive here, but in the grand scale of it, it's so much cheaper to live here. You know, whether you're thinking shopping, going out, everything else, the insurance might be a little bit more, but it's nothing in the grand scale. Okay, Chef, I hope that answers as much as possible. Tell us how many of the houses you toured are not on the website. On the tour, we saw 24 properties, and I hadn't seen, I can't remember how many of them I hadn't seen, Tony, maybe. Sorry, Don. I probably didn't see a good half of those properties, I would say. On the website, there was probably 3 or 4, and then some will be coming onto the website. Some will go onto Patreon, because Patreon, we've got loads of new stuff going off on Patreon, so have a look at that on the website as well. But I would say on the tours, because sometimes it's like this week, next week we have a tour, they'll be seeing some properties that last week's tour didn't see, because we went to do some videos today. Unbelievable, amazing villa, by the way, that I've got on Saturday. So make sure, keep an eye out for that. Anybody that's looking for a good sized villa with land. But we saw 2 new properties in Vittorito today that look fantastic. Both have got roof terraces as well. And we literally saw that. I didn't see inside, I've only seen outside. Domenico's going to assure me that I'm going to have the keys for next week. So that's already another, and that's what happens. So yeah, with the tours, sometimes they get to see them before anybody. Most of the time, Patreon gets to see them before anybody else. But yeah, from the tours, I would say a good half I'd not seen, and I would say only 5, something like that, were on the tour. Sorry, we're already on the website or already being advertised. The rest were new ones. Okay, Tone, are you doing another one, or can you explain how the estate will testament works again? Okay, Jeanette, so I'm presuming if we are talking about what happens if, God forbid, anything happens to yourself. This is a great question. This is really important, actually. It's really, really, really important, especially for those of you who maybe not be married, may not be married and also have children. In particular, those people, this is really important, and really we could do with having a session on this, and we probably will do at some point. So unless your country has an agreement, I'm talking about now if it's a holiday home, and then I'll tell you about if it's a resident. So if it's a holiday home and your country doesn't have an agreement with Italy, then Italian rules apply. Okay, so in other words, whatever how the wills work in Italy will apply to your house. If your country doesn't have an agreement, so some of the states in America do, some don't. You need to double check this, whether when it comes to wills, whether your state or your country has an agreement. For instance, in England, there's an agreement. In other parts of the EU, there's an agreement. What does that mean? That means that I can leave a will and say, I would like my estate to be dealt with by the rules of my country. So let's say I live in the UK. I can come to Italy, buy a property. Excuse me, I do apologize. I can leave whatever I want in Italy. In the UK. But I also need something in Italy. And it's always, because it just makes it easier. It must be handwritten. You can't print it. You must handwrite it. That is really important. A printed one is not acceptable. A handwritten will that's then left somewhere that then needs to be published by the notary, and so on and so on. And in that handwritten will, you can state what you want to happen to the property, and you can say that I want it to be dealt with under UK law or under US law, as long as your state has an agreement with Italy. That way, then you can do as you please. If you live here, so for instance, our situation, so myself, my wife, we have 2 kids. Something happens to me, Italian law states that my half will be split between my wife and our kids automatically. So if one of my kids, if I think I don't want to leave anything to that child for whatever reason, or I've got a favorite child, which I haven't, by the way, I can't just write people out. You can't do that. There's only a small percentage of your will that you can give away, that you can give to something. And I'm talking a very small percentage. The law states here that anything happens to me, then my half will be split, half to my wife, and the other half then split between the 2 children equally, automatically. They will be. So it's not that then my wife could sell the property and do what she wants. It doesn't work like that. The kids have then got an equal share in that property, or an equal share between the 2 of them. My wife would become the owner. She'll have her own half and then half of my half, but then the other 2, what would they be? Not quarters, 8ths, are they? Whatever they are. That would go to our kids, and that's automatic. Where it gets really complicated, and this is where it's really important if you're not married, really important that you write down your wishes and everything else, because Italian law states, so if you've got 2 people that are not married, you buy a house together. Let's say you don't have kids, or you don't have kids together. Maybe you have kids from previous marriages or something like that. If in that case, let's say I'm not married to my wife and I have a child and my wife has a child from a previous marriage, and we buy a house in Italy, something happens to me, the Italian law states that my child from my previous marriage then gets my part of the property. And this is where it gets really, because I can write, no, I want my wife to have my part, and provided that child, my child, doesn't then contest that, that's fine. But if my child gets to know and they contest it, they have rights to my part, because it then goes to my family. And if I don't have children, it can actually go to brothers and sisters or parents or things like that. So it's really important that you write down your wishes and see which law it needs to take on. Because let's say if it goes only under Italian law, I'm not saying that you'd automatically lose the deceased person's half of the property, but there's always a risk, because what could happen is I pass away, my partner that I'm not married to publishes the will that I've left. The notary will publish that will with no problem at all. They will say, if that's the last will, that's fine. However, Italian law states that if any of these people come within a year, I think it's a year, we need to check that. So if any of my family, even brothers and sisters, if I don't have children, try and contest that, and they will be successful. There's a good chance that they'll be successful because of Italian law. If nobody contests it, that's fine. It's left to whoever I've left it with, and that's it. So it's really important that you think about that. Those of you with holiday homes or those of you without, first of all, check if your state has the agreement where it can be dealt with under your own law, but you still need to write it, and you must handwrite it. Then it needs to be published with the notary and say, this is how what I want to happen to my estate. Okay. Tony, have we got? I can't believe we're 45 minutes in. We might have to do another big Q&A, because I've got loads of questions here as well. Somebody's asking how cold it is in Abruzzo. We haven't put the central heating on yet. It's still 20-something degrees Celsius through the day. Absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to run through a few of these. So we're expecting, I would say, the next couple of weeks, mid-November, to put the heating on, and then we'll give updates through winter. But where we are, I would say if you're below 600, 700 meters as a maximum, then you should find things perfect. Spot, are there reasonably priced homes in more isolated locations, meaning outside villages, no neighbors, and immersed in nature? I wouldn't necessarily say that they're cheaper, no, because obviously there is a market for those as well. Isolated outside villages, I would say not really, because outside villages, people either want to be in the towns or just outside. They're the most popular. Really isolated, yeah, you may get some bargains in real isolation, and maybe some further south in Abruzzo. That's the cheapest part. Inland from Vasto. Vasto is an amazing coastal place. Inland from there is where some of the cheaper properties are, because the roads are a little bit more difficult to get around. Some of the villages not as what's the word, sort of flourishing as much as other places. But yeah, as a general rule, if it's really, really, really isolated, you may get some bargains, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that's there's still lots of bargains around Spot. Absolutely lots of I hope that is Spot and it's not Scott. Oh yeah, it is Spot. But I'm sure you will find some bargains around there anyway. So, but yeah, there's no sort of fixed rule to what's cheaper and what's not. Davide, I'll chime in with the topic at the intersection of finance and logistics. Insurance, is it an option in this region, and what specific risk factors might pertain or even preclude insurance? Okay, people, you know something, I spoke to Pentro Pete earlier, and he gave me some great thing, and he was telling me about, especially in the US, which is obviously the US market is huge at the moment, but he was telling me that people really worry about insurance over there, and really, but insurance here is easy to get. There's very few restrictions. People worry about earthquakes and things like that. Let's be honest, we're talking about really rare events, and when they do occur, they tend to be isolated to certain areas, and obviously the government pays out lots of money. If it's a second home, they'll only pay a percentage. So if it's a holiday home, I can't remember what that percentage is. I want to say 80%, but I daren't, just in case it's less than 80. It could well be a lot less than that. So but there is a percentage for second homes that they will pay out, and then the insurance companies will take care of the rest. But we're talking about rare events, so the insurance companies have no problem. Pete quite rightly said, you know, look at some of the things that's happened in Florida and places like that with the hurricanes, or the horrendous things that's happened. And I hope nobody here has been affected by anything like that. And I think people think that it's going to be much harder here or much worse here because people hear about earthquake, but there's such rare events. And so insurance is quite easy to get. It's not a problem, and it's not ridiculous sums either. Obviously, depending the value of the house and everything else. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's not some. Listening to what Pete was telling me, I think it's a cultural thing that coming from the UK, we get house insurance, we get contents insurance. That's it. You don't think about sort of restrictions unless you live in an area that's prone to flooding, or unless you live in an area that has subsidence in the UK. That's the two things that we worry about. You know, in Italy, very few people have insurance, but that's purely because that's their choice. Italians don't like paying for anything that they don't have to pay for. Not all Italians, but that is, that is the truth. But restrictions and things like that, it's not something that you have to worry about. There's lots of insurance companies and they will all take on your business, and it's not ridiculous amounts. Pete was telling me again that some of the amounts that people charge for insurance in the US, he was telling me it goes to thousands and thousands of dollars, or possibly over 10. I've never heard anything like that. I'm not saying I've been involved in many insurance things, but the people that came on one of our home buyers a while ago, a Dutch couple, I remember that they had 2 houses on their I'm sure they paid 700 or 800 euros per year for buildings insurance, and that covered if anything sort of went wrong. I'm not saying everybody's policy is going to be that, but talking about thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, it's not really an issue. So you shouldn't sort of worry about what you may perceive as being the truth about being here, about maybe you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a nightmare getting insurance there, and I bet it's really expensive, and because of this happens there and that happens there. As I say, we're talking about rare events, and insurance companies and governments are set up to deal with all these kind of things. So I don't think it should be something you should worry about. And I am trying to get a contact within the insurance business, if you like, that is hopefully going to be taking care of some of our clients as well. I'd like to might be a future webinar where we bring him on as well and let him talk to you about that. So yeah, it's not something I would really worry about. Okay, I've got a feeling Domenico is going to be coming on soon, but let's see what else we can get. Tony's put another one. Susan, hello Susan. Susan's going to be a Meet the Home Buyer very soon. Hi Dave, how long does the 7% tax last? We've heard it expires after a period of time. By the way, we love Tony. Susan, you've upset me now. You didn't have to. Tony, look at him. Shocking. He only puts these comments on because it mentions him. I thought we were friends, Susan. Of course we are. 10 years. At the moment, as it stands at the moment. I've not heard that it's changed from that. So the 7% does last for 10 years. So that's provided you move to South Italy, which includes Abruzzo, even though we're not in the south. Parts of Le Marche and parts of Umbria. We're going to have some big news on that as well soon. And yes, it lasts for 10 years. And then it goes to the normal tax regime of Italy. And it's sort of, you have to, if 10 years is enough for you and then you probably move on, then fantastic. I mean, it's an unbelievable system. If then obviously you're going to pay in Italian taxes that can be a little bit higher depending what kind of incomes you're getting and what type of income and all the rest of it is. But when you work it out over a period of 20 years, if you're paying 7% for the first 10, whatever you pay for the next 10, the average is going to be fantastic. But yes, 10%. Nice to hear from you, Susan. Apart from that last part of the comment, we'll pretend that didn't happen. Dyson Doctor. Yeah, I love some of these names. I hope that's not. It might be his real name. I probably shouldn't say that. Does the Lean on Me service include Sicily? It does, but the problem, if it's too far away, and especially Sicily, is if you want us to be power of attorney. But if you're wanting to help, just be by your side to sort of check through things and make sure everything seems to be going as it should be going, then yes, it would also include Sicily. And on that note, I do want to say, we run a couple of Facebook groups, and recently I've been advertising. I'm not talking about Home in Italy ones. There's a couple of other Facebook groups that we have, and there's quite a few people going around that sort of pretend to be estate agents and all the rest of it. This is a really important one because somebody sent me an email to say, how can I see the difference? How can I tell if somebody's a fake agent? And it's a simple question because this particular couple started buying a house, things went wrong, and all of a sudden this person disappeared. When you see, doesn't matter how good the websites are and all the rest of it, as a business here in Italy, we have to have an EVA number, which is like a VAT number. We don't always have to charge VAT because certain schemes allow us to do things without charging VAT, but we all have to have EVA numbers. Every business, especially connected with real estate, some charities and things like that may not have them. So the easiest thing to do is to just simply look on their website, go to the bottom. If you don't see an address and you only see a mobile number, mobile numbers here start with a 3. Forgetting about the country code, the 0039, then it will be 3. If it starts with a 0, it's usually a landline. If it starts with a 3, it's a mobile number. If people only advertise a mobile number and there's no address and there's no Partita IVA number or P.IVA, IVA, and no number there, or nothing that says that they're connected to the Camera di Commercio, which is the, completely forgot what that is in English now, but I'm sure I can hear people saying it over the internet land. That's going to annoy me now what it's called. What's it called, Tony? Can you remember?
No.
Thanks. Anyway, perfect timing though. Chamber of Commerce, that's the word. If you don't see any registration numbers or anything like that, then there is going to be a problem. So doesn't matter if they've got a fantastic YouTube channel. I'm not talking about me. We're not estate agents, but we are registered. We're registered as consultants. We do everything as we should do it. Doesn't matter if someone has a great YouTube channel, a great looking website. Check the credentials. Who are you that's helping me? How much are you helping me? How much are you involved? Because you need people that are ready. You need people that are confident enough to open a business and be registered and pay the taxes and be responsible for the services that they offer, not just somebody that says, yeah, it's too easy to think they speak the same language as me. I really want them to help me. It's too easy to do that until something goes wrong. And then when things go wrong, then it becomes a problem, doesn't it? Or as I say, it only becomes a problem when it's a problem. So that's the way to check. Tony, anything? I'm getting concerned about Domenico now. He's obviously fallen to sleep. I'll send him a message. Sei pronto? I did say to him to come on about 10 to 8, and there's no sign of him at the moment. Anyway, okay. Do you ever do handicapped accessible tours with a focus on accessible properties? Jolene, okay. So the problem we have is the buses that we have, the 2 coaches that we have, as far as I'm aware, do not have access. And it sounds horrible to say this because I don't do it out of wanting to restrict anybody. The main problem, I'll be completely honest with you, is finding the properties that are accessible, because we tend to visit things like historical centers. This is the kind of place where people are wanting to buy properties and the historical homes. And unfortunately, those homes, there's always a number of stairs in them. It is difficult. It's very difficult to find, unless you go to more modern apartments and that kind of thing, which we tend not to do on tours because there's not much of a market for it. It sounds horrible to say this, and I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever. But the areas where they are, like down the coast and sort of some of the apartments down there, we tend not to go to those areas because we go to places, like I said, the historical centers and that. And it is such a nightmare to try and find places, single levels or not many stairs, or stairs with easy access. So it's certainly, Jolene, contact me. And if it is something that you're interested in doing, I will do everything I can. I promise you that, to try and accommodate what we can. I just need to be honest with you and tell you that's the reality, because Italian properties are like that. And very, very rarely, apart from some of the newer ones, are they sort of one level or easily accessible. You're dealing with old historical centers. Some of the properties hundreds and hundreds of years old, and unfortunately some of them can be quite a few stairs and that kind of thing. But please do contact me, and I will definitely try and do as much as possible to accommodate that. Okay, so does the 7% include Sicily? Yes, it does. It does include Sicily, as I said, and also include Sardinia, so I was told in the last Q&A. Include Sardinia, and then Abruzzo. It doesn't include Lazio. Abruzzo and everything south of Abruzzo. And then if you look on the internet, there's certain areas of Lazio, certain towns, certain areas of Umbria, and certain areas of La Marche that are now open to 7%. A quick search on Google and you will find those. Oh, that means that Domenico is definitely in the house. Let's answer this quick question. Frank, lean on me helping us on Thursday. Once it's done, we can't wait to update you all. Oh, yes, Frank. Sorry, I didn't recognize who that was. Yeah, really looking forward to doing that one. So that's hopefully Frank's going to be a future Meet the Home buyer. That's let's keep it at that for now. But I'd be looking forward to giving you an update on that on Thursday. Well, not an update, the fact that we'll have done it on Thursday. So there you go. I'm sure he'll be back to let everybody know how that went. Okay, folks, it's that time. It's back to, what's it called, Tony? It's called, he's leaving me to do this now. There. Domenico and Tony's tongue-twisting trials. So this is how we're going to end the show. I am going to do another Q&A soon because there's a few more questions that's come in, and I've no doubt other people. I try and answer as many as possible. And I know sometimes I sort of talk too much at the beginning, but some people like it, some people don't. But there you go. It's now time for the end of the show with Domenico and Tony's tongue-twisting trials. As I said to you before, Tony was testing his Italian by telling you a phrase from a film in Italian. He's going to repeat that phrase. I'm not going to say whether he did it well or not. And now Domenico is coming, one of our agents, Insulamon, everyone knows Domenico, and he's going to do the same phrase in English, and then you can guess what it is. And I'll be keeping an eye to see who the first one is. Here we go. Let's first of all bring Tony back. Domenico.
Hey, Domi.
Buonasera.
Hi! Ciao, Tony.
Ciao, Dom.
Good morning, good evening.
Bravo. Have you heard how good Domenico's English is?
Thank you.
My Italian.
Let's get rid of, hold on a sec. Can we get rid of that ticker at the bottom so we can see? Okay, there you go. Sei pronto?
Sì.
Bravo.
È
Okay.
difficile?
Un po'. He's just asking me if it's difficult. I said it a little bit. So you got to listen carefully, folks. Let me send him this message. So it's got there's going to be people that's just joined in thinking, what on earth is going off?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't blame him.
Ti do 10 secondi per studiare. So I'm giving him 10 seconds. To study. Okay. Okay, Tony. So in your best Italian, Tony first.
All right. Okay.
Say the phrase, and then Domenico is going to say the English one, and then people can guess from which film. Let me look at the chat. So you don't look at the chat to see who's first, Tony, because you always get that bit wrong.
I don't.
Oh, somebody's written, is it okay to say we love Domenico? Guarda, Domenico, guarda. Bob Sullivan, we love Domenico. Tony took that off. I didn't touch it. You can say that. You can say that about Domenico, just not Tony. Okay, so Bob is saying to say it slower, Tony. You ready?
I will.
Allora, prima Tony. Tony, go.
Non conosco metà di voi, metà come vorrei e mi piace meno della metà di voi, metà di quanto meritate.
Hai capito, Domenico?
Sì, penso di sì.
Domenico thinks he understood Tony. He's just being nice, just being diplomatic.
Tony è bravissimo.
Tony è
bravissimo perché fa lo spelling.
Okay, so he's giving Tony compliments. I'm not going to try to what's the word I'm looking for? Translate. Okay, sei pronto in inglese. Domenico,
Yes.
you're the bomb. Okay, Domenico. Vai.
Vado?
Sì.
I don't know health you health as well as I should like. And I like last 10 half of you half as well as you deserve.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Sì?
A lot better than Tony.
Ma voi siete di parte.
Dire un'altra volta. He's going to say it again, and let's see if anybody guesses it.
I don't know half if you half as well as I should like. And I like last 10 half of you half as well as you deserve.
We have a winner.
I know it.
Meglio la prima.
Abbiamo qualcuno indovinato, come si dice? Indovinato.
Indovinato.
Jay Phillips is the winner. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's not the Hobbit.
And if somebody wanted to be a little bit more precise, I've still got to give it to Jay Phillips. Somebody's written, I have no idea, but Dave, you look like you've lost weight. That's very kind of you, Susan. I think I'm the heaviest I've ever been, but a discussion, but very kind of you. It must be these new lights.
Ring.
Sorry? Yeah, I was going to say Dyson Doctor, I think, was it that said Fellowship of the Ring, but I have to give it to Jay Phillips.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, yeah.
nobody on Facebook has got it. So what Domenico was says, I don't know half of you half as well as I should. No. I don't know. Tony, what have you written here? Anyway.
Blame me.
I don't know how they got that because I think you've written this in French. Anyway, I was going to read it out, but I'm not going to know. I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve. What a great saying.
Bilbo
Proprio come l'ho letto,
Huh? Sì.
proprio come l'ho letto io, guarda.
Domenico says exactly the way he said it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well done, everybody.
You said it a lot better.
Absolutely
Okay.
nobody got it off Facebook. So Facebook users are all asleep by the looks of it. But yeah, we have the winners tonight. Fantastic.
Bilbo Baggins.
Thank you so much. Grazie, Domenico. Ci sentiamo domani.
Yes.
Ciao,
Ciao,
Buonasera.
ciao.
Buonasera.
Tone,
Ciao.
thank you very much.
Welcome.
I'll get rid of you. There you go. It's hard. It's great when you can just bring him in and just get rid of, when you need to. That should be like that in real life. Anyway, somebody's got some sad faces there. Bilbo Baggins. We're getting a few said by Bilbo Baggins at his birthday. You see, I thought that, but I think I was then told it was the wizard fella, but I don't know. Anyway, somebody may tell us that. Ron, and thanks, Domenico. We always love you and Tony's guest appearances. Oh dear, we'll give them a little bit of credit. It is nice to see them, isn't it? But there you go. Let me get rid of this. I must remember to get rid of, who was that said that? Rob. We need to ban him from next week's. Ron, we'll ban him from next week's show. Anyway, only joking. Thank you so much, everybody, as usual, for joining us. Next week, as I say, we are going to be doing. We're going to be doing it next Monday instead of Tuesday because of what's happening over yonder. We are going to be doing it next Monday. So whoever you're voting for, whatever's happening over there, good luck, whoever you're voting for, and let's see what happens, eh? We don't talk politics on this show. We're not going to talk politics. So it's going to be next Monday. I think we're either going to do a Meet the Home Buyers or we're going to do a special on Abruzzo and hopefully get some people that came on the tour last week and get people ready for those that's coming next week. And as I said before, the WhatsApp group for next week's tour will be created on Thursday, so we'll be in touch. And remember to book some places out. Come on the January tour. It's absolutely perfect time of year to come. Thank you so much for your support as usual. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you next Monday at the same time at 7 p.m. Have a great week, everybody.